I've written copy for the last 11 years that's generated more than $500 million worth of revenue for clients. I've managed $1 million worth of ad spend every single month and have been marketing executive and copy chief at one of the top ad agencies in the world and built a yearly income for myself of more than $170,000 through copywriting. This is my story. All 11 years, the lessons learned, the mistakes made, the victories won, so that you can get an inside look into what it takes to become a top tier copywriter and turn your valuable copywriting skills into a significant income for yourself. This episode is brought to you by CopyLaunch. CopyLaunch is the leading membership for copywriters that helps them get high-paying clients. It contains $500 million copywriting courses, marketing playbooks, business processes, more than $50,000 in savings on your favorite software and tools, personal development frameworks, mentorship from world-class copywriters, and more in the one place. Head to copylaunch.com and save big on access with their founders deal while it lasts. All right. Welcome back, everyone, or welcome to the Copywriter Show. My name is Nick. Thank you very much for being here with us on this episode. I'm very excited because it's the first time that I have ever shared my copywriting journey and my copywriting story with anyone that's not like a part of my family or my immediate circle. So this is going to be an episode where we get pretty vulnerable, which is something that I am excited about as well, but it's challenging. We're going to touch on some concepts and some topics that, are very near and dear to my heart. But what I'm most excited about in this episode is this is going to give you an insight and a peek behind the curtain into what it takes to build a very simple copywriting business for yourself that helps you turn your valuable copywriting skills into a significant income. Because it's the promise of copywriting, it's the hope of copywriting. This skill is one of, if not the most valuable skills that a human can learn. Using communication to connect with someone and to stretch their belief system just a little to see how taking a specific action can help make their life better, can help them solve the problems that they have, the challenges that they're facing, and make their life easier, provide them with a solution. It's incredibly powerful, it's incredibly rewarding when you use it for the right reasons and help the right kind of businesses. And it's my belief that the current copywriters out there today aren't being valued enough. They're overworked, they're underpaid, and they're undervalued. And that is why I am committed and hyper-focused like a goddamn fucking madman on building CopyLaunch into the greatest copywriting membership and community that exists. So, without any further ado, let's dive in and cover my story. So, it's been 11 years. 2013 was when I wrote my first piece of copy. And in that time, I've gone from zero income to 176 a year. And in 2013, I was in a dark place. I was only 23 at the time. I was studying nutrition and dietetics. I was 6 years into that degree, and it should have been a 4-year degree, which gives you an insight into where I was both as a person and what that degree meant to me. Like, I got out of high school and I had no idea what the fuck I wanted to do with my life. Like, I was 18 years old. My dad worked in the mines here in Australia, and I was like, hey, I can just get into that. I could go do like fly in, fly out work in Western Australia or in Queensland. I could make a ridiculous amount of money for it and save it up and be in a really good position. However, my dad talked me out of it because of what he'd experienced and a couple of, potentially life-ending experiences inside of the mines with things collapsing and a whole heap of mechanical issues. So he was like, I'm not going to let my son experienced what I had to experience. Is like, there's so many different options out there for you. Why don't you go do a degree? That's the safety and the security, which we now know was a lie. At this time in my life, I was experiencing an eating disorder, and because of that, I had a hyper attentive state towards nutrition. And due to that, my mum's like, why don't you go do nutrition and dietetics? And I'm like, hey, that sounds really, really interesting. I'm going to learn more about the body. I'm going to learn more about nutrition. And it just fed into that disorder that I had at the time. So that's why I wasn't that passionate about it, because I was doing it out of the wrong reasons. I had a goal because I'm very ambitious. I'm going to be the top sports dietitian at the Australian Institute of Sport. That was the lie that I told myself that got me into that degree. And in 2013, I was overseas. I was in Europe with my best mate. We went over in the mid-semester break. And when we were in Lauterbrunnen in Austria, I received a notification, an email from our semester 1 results. And I'd failed all of those 4 subjects again. And unfortunately, that meant that I couldn't go on placement in semester 2. So essentially, when I went back home to Australia, I couldn't do anything to do with my university degree because I didn't get through the subjects that I needed to. So I was at a loss here because I'm like, man, when I'm going home, what the hell am I going home for? Like, I left my job so that I could come here and go to Europe for a month. Like, why go home? I only have family there. I don't have anything to go back to. And when we were in Munich, I was at coffee with my cousin, and he said, why don't you stay? I have a place. I've got a couch. Like, if you don't have anything to go home to, why don't you just stay? And I was like, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. So I rang my mum and dad, and mum hung up on me. She's like, you didn't just say that, did you? And then they rang me back, and I'm like, yeah, I did just say that. And she's like, but what are you going to do? I'm like, look, I'll stay with Hans. I'll figure it out. I'll travel a bit more. Like, you can't stop me. I'm 23, and I'm already here. So it's not like you're stopping me from going. This is what I'm doing. And I ended up living and working in Munich for about 8 months. I flew home on Christmas Eve to surprise my family. And the reason for that was that when I was living and working in Munich, I didn't have anything to do, apart from going to my job. And I had a fascination with books. Like, I love to read, I love to write. I've always had an imagination, and growing up, some of my fondest memories were writing short stories. I just had an English teacher in high school tell me that my writing was shit and I'd never have a career in it. And as we know, that can be quite detrimental. But when I was looking through a bookshop one day, I saw the Copywriter's Handbook by Robert Bly. I was like, what the fuck is that? What is copywriting? So I bought the book and I consumed it, and it fascinated me. At first, I thought it was like a legal side of things, writing copyright for people so that their trademarks don't get done and it's suing and all of that. But then I was like, oh, this is actually something very, very interesting. This is something I'm very curious about. This is something I'm very interested in. So I read the book and I reread the book and I reread the book and I wrote things out, and I found Gary Halbert's letters. I found Joseph Sugarman. I found David Ogilvy. And I just started consuming all of this information and writing out sales letters word for word for myself. And I'm like, you know what? This is actually what I would like to do. This is something that I'm interested about, but I never fully went in. But when I got home to Australia on Christmas Eve, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this for myself. Whilst I continue studying, this is what I'm going to do. So I wrote my first piece of copy. It was for a personal trainer down in Melbourne, and it was for like an A4 page, just a flyer that they were sticking up on the wall of the gym to help them get new clients. They paid me $20 for it, and I'm like, fuck yeah, how good's that? This thing's going to take me like an hour to write. I wrote it, gave them design prompts. It was just like headline, subheadline, heap of bullet points, image of the PT. And the PT sent me a message back saying, I don't think this is going to work. I think this is shit. Why are people going to want to work with me when they see this? And I said, okay, you know what? Let me do another one and we can A/B split test them. So I did one that was more in alignment with what it was that they wanted, and we split tested it, and it ended up that the original one, which had less copy, worked better. So that then taught me about, hey, the clients are going to, obviously have their say, but it's where ourselves as the expert need to stand by what we think is going to work. And then it also taught me the power of A/B split testing. Okay, so that's 2013. For the next 3 years, from 2014 to 2016, I finished my nutrition and dietetics degree because I was already far too far in. I had that, not hindsight bias, but sort of commitment bias of I need to finish this. So I just continued to write copy on the side and focused on the health and fitness niche because nutrition and dietetics, because of my love for sport, because of my love for fitness, and also the disorder that I was on the back end of coming out of. So I did that. I just wrote for anyone that would listen, wrote for anyone that wanted it. I had some friends that were personal trainers, so I wrote for them, and I started to develop the skill over that time. I didn't put any pressure on myself, but I used those years to just write and write and write and write and write and write. So in 2016, I finished my degree and I burn all the boats. I go all in. I joined a business mastermind because I'm like, I'm building a business and I know nothing about building businesses. So I didn't have any income at this time, but I spent $3,000 a month on this business mastermind because I was like, that is going to force me to do the goddamn work. This business mastermind at this time, it's before like Facebook ads really took off. That was the strategy that they took. Run Facebook ads to a page, get the leads, get them in for your offer, and then sell them on the back end of it. So I wrote an ad. I put it up, generated 200 leads over the course of the weekend, and I went, holy shit, I can do this. And what it did was it showed the guys who were running that business mastermind that I had a valuable skill of copywriting. What that did was they then brought me on to write their copy. And because they had business owners coming in and they were teaching them about marketing and running ads, I was able to promote my services to every single business owner that was in that mastermind. Those business owners had disposable income because they were paying $3,000 a month to be a part of the business mastermind. So I was then very able to position myself to say, hey, this is what I'm really good at. Here's the results that I've gotten for myself using this system. I want to help you do the same. So I built a 6-figure business within the next 3 months on the back of those leads and my position inside of that business mastermind community. Okay, it was the perfect start for myself. Over the next 3 years, continued to use copy to grow that business to mid 6-figure revenues. We moved locations twice. We had to look to see if we wanted to license the systems that we were using and start to sell them nationally. It was a time of a lot of fun, of a lot of growth and expansion, and also of a lot of challenges, because this is where I was challenged inside of a business context that I had never built a business before. I was in the process of building a business. So all the marketing stuff, all the management stuff, all the HR stuff, all the financial side of things, like I had to deal with those. I wanted to write copy and I'm creative at heart, but because I was building the business and I didn't know what I was doing, I had to remove myself from that copy aspect to say, hey, I'm going to grow the business. And that taught me that that's something that A, I can do, but B, I don't really want to do. So if I find myself in that situation again, I'm either going to set up ways that I can automate or delegate or completely remove the tasks that I don't want to do so I can focus on the things that I do want to do and that I'm passionate about and that I am world class at. Okay? Beautiful 3 years. Okay? Growth inducing 3 years. But what happened next was even more growth inducing, but not as beautiful. We all know what happened in 2020. Okay? In 2020, COVID happened. We lost 80% of our revenue overnight because of the businesses that we were supporting. We focused on sporting associations, and we focused on schools in regards to like a mental performance aspect. Those schools lost their funding because they couldn't have anyone come in to the schools, and they're like, we don't know when they're going to be back, and it's likely not going to be till next year. And the sporting associations were the same. They were forced to shut down, so the seasons were cancelled. They're like, we're not even running until next year, and we might not be running then. So we saw ourselves go from $50,000 a month down to less than $10K a month. And all of our overheads stayed the same. So this is where we're in a pickle. What the hell are we going to do? I had this anti-fragile mindset of I can figure this out, like I'm going to make this happen. But I couldn't. And then I got to the point where it's like, what the hell am I going to do here? It was a dark night of the soul kind of situation because I felt like failure. I felt like I was quitting. Like I'm like, I can spend more time and put more energy into this, and I can turn this around. But at the end of the day, I sat there and I've gone, man, what if COVID continues and we can't? I'm already 150K in debt because I've tried, and because of our overheads and because of our expenses to try and build again, we've just been spending. So I decided to close the doors, go 150K in debt, and essentially be left back at square one. The only thing that I carried with me were the skills that I'd developed, the experiences that I've had, the lessons that I'd learned that got me to that point. The other thing that I had with me was my network, the results that I'd created. And I was able to then leverage them to build something that was even better than I could have ever imagined. So for the next 2 years, 2021 and 2022, secured a contract with the #1 health and fitness podcast at that time. I used that network to sign and work with more clients. One of those clients did a $1.2 million launch. They were a Web3 company, and they did that launch in less than 24 hours. My cut was 4%. Okay? I worked with an agency that did landing page packs for their clients. They focused on the design side of it, and they needed the copy written. We ended up doing 40 plus of those landing page packs together, and every landing page pack was $3K. They charged the client $12 and they paid me $3. I was flown across the country by a breathwork practitioner to write a single sales email sequence for them that they could use to drive people who attended their free event into their 3-day workshops and promote their upcoming breathwork trainer experience. I was flown to Austin, Texas to write copywriting funnels for a period of 2 weeks. And inside of that, I networked more and found more people who needed my services, and I could leverage that position of the expert and the authority to sign those clients easily. I wrote a single sales email in less than an hour for one of those clients that did $250K for him. I wrote a sales page that did more than $400,000 in sales in the first week for one of those clients. And I built by myself, I was the only person working, a $170,000 income for myself as a copywriter. So much better than when I tried to build the bigger business and the more complex business earlier on, because I'd learned those lessons and I said, hey, I'm going to do this myself and I'm going to do it my way. And I began documenting everything to build out what is now CopyLaunch. So all of the funnels, all of the marketing, all of the copywriting stuff, all of the systems, all of the playbooks, the CRMs, the financial side of things. I began documenting it all and putting it together in one place for myself as a personal swipe file that I could go back to for inspiration, to be more effective and be more efficient. In late 2022, I was offered the spot of being copy chief and marketing executive at a top ad agency here in Australia. They had at the time generated more than $2.3 billion for clients using Facebook ads. My role was going to be managing millions of dollars worth of ad spend every single month and overseeing every piece of copy that was written before it went out. So I was managing a team of copywriters and managing a team of creators to put together these advertising campaigns, get all the copy done, get all the landing pages done, get all the creatives done, publish it and manage it and optimize it. It was one of the most stressful times of my life because of the pressure. We were working with other people's money and they expected a specific result, and we didn't always achieve that result, but we did what we could to get it. Okay? Some of the results that we would routinely see is we'd have $100,000 in ad spend and we'd turn into more than $3 million in sales for the clients. And we'd take companies that were around the 50K a month mark and turn them into 100K a week in a couple of months. What this did was it paid for my wife's dream wedding from just one client. That's what's possible when it comes to copywriting. When you know the skill, more importantly, you know how to leverage that skill to create freedom for yourself in time, in location, and in finances. So I did this for 2 years. And what I learned from that experience was that I could not work under someone else. My highest value in life is freedom. And even though this was essentially one of my dream roles, working with the clients that I wanted to work with, writing the kind of copy that I wanted to write, having the kind of pressure that I wanted to have on me so that I could become even better, but I couldn't work when I wanted. I couldn't work on what I wanted to work on. I couldn't work and write the way that I wanted to, and that suffocated me. To the point where I'd never been so stressed before, even though I wasn't working as hard or as long as what I had in the past, and I couldn't figure out why. Because I'm sitting there going, this is everything that I asked for. When I did my own vision casting and my own goal setting and looking at my behaviors and my practices and what do I want, like this was the top of the mountain for me. And when I got there, I realized that it wasn't what I wanted and that I'd spent all of that time climbing the wrong goddamn fucking mountain. And I felt back to where I was when we experienced what we experienced with COVID. I thought I'd learned that lesson, but I hadn't. And I sat there with myself and I've gone, I need to burn this to the ground. I need to start again because I didn't learn from my previous mistake of building what I wanted to build and doing what I wanted to do instead of what I thought I had to do and what the right thing to do was. So earlier this year in 2024, my wife and myself were in Europe. We were going for a 6-week adventure. We flew business class. It was the time of our fucking lives. And we were 3 days into the trip in London and I was miserable. And I didn't want to be. And my wife looked at me and we'd been together for almost 7 years at the time. And she said, Nick, I've never seen you this unhappy or depressed before. And to be honest, it's starting to get to me because this isn't the man that I met. This isn't the man that I married. This isn't the best version of yourself. This isn't who you are. What the fuck is eating at you and what's wrong? And when she said that to me, I had to be honest with myself. And I said, it's work. But I'm scared to end it because it's going to take me back to zero income. I'm going to have to start again and I don't want to start again. But I had to. And I knew that I had to. because I couldn't continue doing what I was doing. The pain of that was harder to experience than the pain of starting again. Because I've done it, which means I can do it, which means that I am capable of doing it again if I want to. I was just tired. So I took a 2-month sabbatical. I'm like, I'm taking all pressure off. I know what I'm doing here and what it's going to cause me internally, because I feel like I need to work and create, but what I really need is 2 months of rest and relaxation and no deadlines, and I just want to create and write what I want to write and understand what is this next cycle and season for myself like. So I left that copy chief and marketing executive role. I walked away from it, essentially threw 180K a year down the drain. And I started to officially build out CopyLaunch, because that is what was calling to me. I've always been a teacher. I've always been a coach. I've always found myself in these mentoring roles. Supporting people has always been a core value for myself. And I looked around at the main problems that copywriters were experiencing, and it's not about writing copy. They think it is. And when you start, your copywriting skills are at a certain level, but then with reps and with time and with experience, they develop and you develop and it becomes better. But the problem was, how do you get those reps? How do you get that experience? How are you able to spend time in the industry when those opportunities aren't present? That's the problem that I wanted to solve. How can I teach copywriters to build simple businesses for themselves based off my experience, the lessons that I've learned, all of these playbooks that I've developed, all of these systems, all of these processes, all of these operational systems? How can I essentially gift that to them and then mentor and support and coach them through setting it up for themselves? So that's what CopyLaunch became. That's what it is. And I'm very excited because it officially launched yesterday. So you know how there's a ton of here's how to write great copy information out there, but there's none or little about here's how you can use that valuable copywriting skill that you have and turn it into freedom for yourself, significant income for yourself, and for money. That's what CopyLaunch helps copywriters solve. Okay? The first 10 copywriters who come in, they're getting in for free, because the only thing that I want from them is feedback. I have not launched this to anyone else yet. It's not live on the internet. I'm not running ads for it yet. I haven't sent out emails for it yet. But I want 10 copywriters to come in, free lifetime access, so that they can provide me with feedback on how it can be better for them and how the experience can be better for other copywriters. What's included is the Business of Copywriting course, which is everything that's needed to build a successful, profitable, simple copywriting business that generates $120,000 or more for copywriters. There's $500 million copywriting trainings, which is specific for writing ads, landing pages, sales pages, emails, VSLs, full funnels, social content, entire launches. And it goes through the golden nuggets and the key principles that basic copywriting courses don't teach you. These are the things that elevate copy and actually make them perform. There's personal one-on-one mentoring for me. We do weekly coffee hours. There's a free high-level account. We've done a few marketing funnels, automations, tagging, sequences, like everything. You just put your logo in, change the headline and that, and make the copy uniquely your own. Free school account, monthly expert calls. I've summarized a heap of copywriting books and courses for you. There's an advanced advertising section, which is a bonus, which is everything that I learned during that 2 years at the ad agency as copy chief and marketing executive. We go into AI and copywriting, psychology and copywriting in specific courses. We have experts come in to support the copywriters that are in there. And there's half day, 4-hour one-on-one mentoring sessions with me. This is everything that I could do to build the greatest copywriting membership and community and mentorship of the 21st century. This is my baby. This is what I'm passionate about. This is the next phase, cycle, and season for me. Everything that I experienced and was gifted as a copywriter to get me to where I am today, passed on, given forward to the next generation of copywriters and the copywriters out there who want to build a simple, profitable business for themselves. So if that's you, here's the link, school.com/CopyLaunch-8031. As I said, first 10 copywriters get in for free. I believe that we already have 3 in there from the few personal emails that I've sent out. If you are interested in grabbing one of those last 7 spots, then go to this link, www.school.com/CopyLaunch-8031, and one of those free lifetime spots is yours. Now, I want to help you, and I will help you, build a copywriting business for yourself that does $120,000 or more every single year. And the only thing that I ask is honest, direct, constructive feedback from yourself in how I can make the experience even more powerful and impactful for you. That's it. So thank you very much for joining us here on this episode of the Copywriter Show. Thank you for joining me. As always, I'm incredibly grateful to have you here with us. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to drop it in a comment below. And as always, please like, subscribe to the channel, because that's how it helps us get even better content here on the Copywriter Show. And I'll see you inside of CopyLaunch membership and mentorship at some point in the future.